We did it. We've teamed up, and together we've created something special. We are the Idaho Underground Sports Network, and we're changing the game. We're covering Idaho high school sports in a way that you haven't seen before. Together, we'll be providing weekly breakdowns and recaps while helping uncover Idaho's top talents at a deeper level. Trust us, you want to be part of this. Boise Sports Talk, EBC Media, and the Gametime Guru bring you Gym Session. Let's get to work. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of Gym Session. This is our first episode of Gym Session of the fall 2022 season coming your guys' way. This is the 2022-2023 year. We kind of almost call this season 2 of Gym Session, as we've had a couple of months of a break for summer, but now we're ready to rock and roll as we're getting back to school. I absolutely hate the feeling of back to school, though. And now that I have kids that are kind of like, I have a kid who's in that age, you go to Walmart, you see all the school stuff, it makes me sick. But we're excited for all the athletes and the student athletes that are out there getting back to school, because that means we got some sports, especially high school football, which we're going to be bringing to you guys today. First and foremost, on behalf of AJ from EBC Media, Ty from Boise Sports Talk, I am Shane from the Gametime Guru, and we are the Idaho Underground Sports Network. If you guys are not already following us, make sure you're doing so. Obviously, this is our YouTube channel, but our bread and butter is on Instagram. I mean, that's where we've got over 8,000 followers. We look forward to growing that channel and the network completely. So go over to Instagram at Idaho Underground Sports. Give us a follow, and you guys will be able to keep up with the exciting content that we're going to be providing you guys this year. And I'll get into more detail in regards to the content that's coming your way. I'd also like to remind you guys to follow us on Twitter at ID Underground SN, stands for Idaho Underground Sports Network. But just go follow us on Twitter. We'll be active on there as well. We're trying to gain a little bit more of a following there. But Twitter and Instagram are kind of our two main platforms. So with that being said, we are on YouTube right now. If you guys enjoy this, you want to listen to our podcast each week, subscribe to this channel and share it. That's all we ask, is share it on your social media platforms or tell somebody about it. If you got a friend or a family member, someone who wants to listen to us talk and ramble on, hey, share it over there with them. It helps us out. All right, guys? So a couple of changes coming your guys' way this year in a good way. Last year we started, and it's just us three, me, Ty, and AJ. We started last year with, just covering 5A SIC football. That's kind of like what we were focused on. We had a little bit of 4A sprinkled in there as well, but our focus was there. But we had such a good reception from the people, you guys who are listening and the ones who are following us. It helped us expand. So this year we're going to take things up a notch, and we're going to be covering the entire state at the 5A level. Now, you guys might be wondering, one, how are you guys going to do that? And two, what about 4A and the other divisions as well? So first and foremost, let me answer the number one question. How are you guys doing that? Well, if you guys are following us on Instagram, you saw that we put this out there. We wanted to work with some more content creators. We've got AJ, we got Ty, we've got Cherry Films, we've got Meyer Media, we've got Coach Buff up in Lake City. We've got a lot of people that have jumped on board the last year, and we wanted to ask more people to help us out. Well, we got a great amount of people hitting us up. We got photographers, videographers, students at different schools who want to help us provide coverage across the state. So we're going to do our very best to help you guys with that. We're trying to build this network, but there will be a structure to that, meaning they will be covering the games on their own private platforms, but we will also be highlighting that coverage on the Idaho Underground Sports Network platform as well. There's going to be a structure that we will explain to you guys, but we're going to have multiple people helping us. Now, if you guys wanted, hey, well, where's the 4A? We've got great 4A schools and so forth. Yes, we understand that, and we'd love to be able to do that, but we need to be able to afford that. It's a time-consuming job, and it actually does cost money to do so. So we encourage you guys, if you know a business owner, or if you yourself are a business owner and you'd like to work with us, please hit us up. We would love to work alongside you guys. We're looking for sponsorship opportunities to get paid so that we can help provide more coverage to you guys. Right now, we're doing what we can with what we have, and we're grateful for that. But in order to expand, we do have to have a little bit more rev stream coming through, and that's just the honest truth. So if you guys are interested in working with the Idaho Underground Sports Network, we're right here. We love working with local businesses, especially here in Idaho, because that's what we're all about, is the relationships with not only the players, but the businesses and the community itself. So just throwing that out there for you guys. Now, let's get into some football talk. First and foremost, this is actually like the third thing I've said, but it's Ty's birthday. So can we, at the time of this recording, this is Ty's birthday. Ty, talk to us about how old you are and how you feel today compared to last year at this time.
Well, it's crazy how much has changed in a year. Yeah, there it is, BST. We got merch everywhere now. I'll be 29 today. Last year of my 20s, so going to be soaking it in. It'll be a fun year. As you guys know me, I soak in every moment and I live life to the fullest. So this last year of my 20s is going to be no exception. So looking forward to it. Like you said, this time of year is kind of bittersweet. End of summer, going back to school, just that dread of getting back to reality, if you will. But it's also the best time of year because, like you mentioned, we got high school sports back, sports in general, right? This season, like you said, we're going to do a ton of 5A coverage. We would love to do 4A, like you said. If we can get some more revenue coming in to expand our resources and keep expanding our network, sky's the limit. We want to cover it all. With that being said, AJ and I, we've been talking a lot. High school soccer will be on the map this fall. Probably an emphasis on the girls side of things, just as we're covering, football, which is a male sport primarily. We love to see the females out there too. But since we are showing love to the females or to the males on the football field, got to show some love to the girls on the soccer side. So be expecting quite a bit of coverage there. Should be fun.
Heck yeah. What was your favorite moment about your 28th year? What's like your favorite moment, dude? Was it Hawaii? I know you liked Hawaii, but what was your favorite moment that was like
it is honestly incredible how many fun adventures and opportunities I had this last year. I mean, for the last 3 years, every year I say it, like this was the best one yet. And my goal in life really is to just keep stacking up those good years. Honestly, traveling with you guys, coaching with you guys, what we've built has been my favorite part of this last year, without a doubt.
So sick, dude. So here's the thing.
Hawaii is great, but relationships are ultimately what life's about, right?
That's true. When I was 28, that was what I always say. When I was 28, that's when I had shoulder surgery. That's when I had my kid. And that's when my health went, shoom. I was in like peak condition. But Ty just keeps getting fitter and fitter and looking good, dude. Playing basketball, bam jam, making highlight reels and all sorts of stuff. So
hey, I might need to retire from basketball if we're being honest. But catch me on the football field. I'll show out a little bit better for you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Let's get to it, guys. We're going to be talking about some of the power rankings, some of the games coming up this week. We're super stoked for it. Woo! I just started laughing thinking about AJ's highlight of Ty. Wow, I was wheezing the night that came out on social media. If y'all saw it, if you were following Ty, AJ, anybody, I guess they all blew it up on there. Anyway, coming up this weekend, we got some good games coming your way. I'm going to first start with the game of the week, which is Eagle and Meridian. It's going to be a big one, and I want to emphasize you guys should be following us. We're going to have people there covering that game. AJ's going to be there. Eagle at Meridian. We've got athletes across the board on Eagle's side. Arguably the best athlete on the field in Duarte. I mean, they've got some studs out there. And then Meridian coming back. We got Zeke taking over at quarterback. We got some receivers that need to kind of get their feet wet, but they have weapons, but especially on the defensive side of the ball, they're stacked. And so Meridian's got high expectations with a few question marks, just trying to see how they do. Eagles coming back with a few question marks, especially the quarterback position, but they've got athletes. AJ, what do you expect from the game of the week?
Man, happy birthday, Ty. You're a blessing to us all. I promise, man. Everybody's favorite. But anyway, man, I'm excited to see this Meridian defense. I'm excited to see how stout they're going to be early on. I know they changed some things defensively. They moved some guys around. I know Ryan Corder was kind of safety linebacker last year. He's, I think, going to be full-time linebacker. They're moving Meisner around a little bit on the line. But, man, they've got almost everybody back, and you lose a couple of the Ninja Turtles. I think those are the 3 losses or three of those guys in the secondary. And you got a guy like Ethan Beard who blew up this summer 7-on-7 and got an Idaho offer. And so now all of a sudden they've got a Division I safety coming in, taking over in one of the spots that they needed to fill. And so I'm just like, whoa, like that's going to make them even better. They've got guys all over. I know Jake Hartso's been working in the weight room. Obviously you got Reynolds, Gooley, I said Corder, Gwilliam. I mean, Landon Eason, who led the league in picks, is back. I mean, they're going to be physical. They're not going to be scared of anybody. I don't know about their depth. I feel like we talk about that with every team, though, except for Rocky and Mountain View and sometimes Eagle. But Meridian's got to stay healthy. I know they play Rocky later in the year. It'll be interesting to see how healthy they are. But offensively, I think they're going to surprise people. I think Riley Byington's a name that we're going to be mentioning a bunch this year. Poppy Del Rio's back. He had a great year last year as a sophomore. And then obviously Corbin Freeze, Tyson Acree. They've got some receivers that are back that were successful last year. They do lose Quentin Riley and Davis Thacker. That's going to be tough to replace from a physicality standpoint, having those type of threats. But it feels like they're going to have enough weapons to compete with the best teams. And I mean, in other polls, they're as high as 2. And that's where we have them, I believe, in our power rankings for the league. I got them winning the whole thing. Everybody knows that I'm a Warrior homer recently, but for sure, I like them, and I want to see Rocky prove it. I want to see a bunch of those guys on Rocky prove it, which they're going to be the team to beat, obviously. But for Eagle's got serious skill position guys: Roy Hull, Deegan Martino, Duarte. And you've got Makita on defense. You've got Seth Brock, Carter Davis. They've got very nice core pieces on both sides of the ball. Quarterback's a question. Can Jake Longson, can he stay upright? Can he stay healthy? He likes to run the ball more than he likes to pass the ball. Can they get the ball in Duarte's hands enough for him to make enough big plays against these top-tier teams? We're going to find out right away, and I'm excited about it. So it's going to be a fun game of the week. Eagle's going to show out. Meridian's going to show out. I can't wait, man. It's going to be fun.
I'm excited for it. That's a big-time matchup to kick it off. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like in the college football world. Heck, dude, I got Ohio State, Notre Dame coming up in a couple weeks, literally 3 weeks that I'll be at. It's like one of those games that's just like a big game to start it. That gets everybody excited. It's like the old Boise State, Georgia matchup, that kind of thing when you start getting Boise State, Virginia Tech, that kind of stuff. That's what Eagle Meridian kind of feels like. It's like these two teams trying to prove something. They're not necessarily ranked number 1, but they're in that top 3, 4 rankings across the board for most guys, but they're in that top 5 for everybody, and it's going to be a powerhouse matchup. Over about 3 or 4 miles to the other side of Meridian, we got Owyhee High School. They're doing a red out this week. We got Madison coming into town. Owyee's coming into season 2 under Coach Blaser, former Boise State tight end Blaser. He's really trying to build the culture over here at Owyhee. We had the opportunity to go over there and do some of the coverage for their media day and just get some of the hype going for Owyhee. They didn't have the most successful season last year, and that was kind of expected for a first-year program. It's hard to get everybody, especially with underclassmen. It's one thing if you have a brand-new program and it's full of seniors, but it's another thing when you have a brand-new program and it's a lot of underclassmen coming in to try to play at the varsity level. And Owyhee showed glimpses last year of some good things, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They had some weapons, but defensively they struggle a lot. This year, though, they're bringing back pretty much their entire defense, and they're looking like they've got a year under their belt. They've hit the weight room. It's obvious they've hit the weight room. There's a lot of dogs on the other side of the ball. Like they could do some things. We were talking about this. Like they could compete in some of these bigger games, but over here at Owyhee, Ty is going to be there, fitting right in with the red out, and we're going to be providing coverage of Owyhee Madison. Let's talk about that game and what you expect, Ty.
Well, going into Owyee's media day, I think all 3 of us could say that we had a lot of questions about them coming into this season. I wouldn't say that they lacked size last year. On the offensive line, they obviously had their dogs up front with Zach Nyland and Carson Rasmussen, but specifically on their defense, it seemed like they were, just undersized and were, pretty consistently getting, beat in the secondary. If running backs got through that front 7, they were able to take it to the house. This year, to me, they had a significantly bigger team than they did last year. They had 6 or 7 guys that stood out all on the defensive side of the ball, that if they can put those guys in the right position, I think that we'll see a much better defense this year. I don't know if we'll see a top tier defense, but obviously they'll need improvements on that side of the ball. But offensively, I mean, they had some really nice pieces last year. Obviously the offensive line helped carry them, but they've got some big body receivers. Matt Irwin coming into his junior year. He should be, in my opinion, one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I think he's got the athleticism and just the mental fortitude, if you will, to help lead his team to, a new level this year. And Madison is honestly a great week 1 test. I think ultimately, I do have Madison winning this game. I think, they were a state playoff team last year. They had a hard matchup against Meridian at Meridian. So, that's how they were eliminated last year. But coming into this year, they bring back some guys. I know that their quarterback's got some hype coming out of his camp. I think that they're the team to beat, but they are on the road. Owyee's obviously shown that they've got some school spirit. It's going to be loud out there in Owyhee. I think it's going to be a great week one matchup that, could tell a lot for both of these teams going forward for the rest of the year.
I love it, man. I'm excited for Owyhee Madison simply because, everything you just mentioned there, Owyee's got there's this weird feeling to it, and it's game one. So there's a lot of excitement behind game one. Storm season number 2. Let's see what happens. What I always wonder about week ones, though, or the game number 1 is, Madison probably is the more talented, more experienced team. Probably should be the favorite here, like Ty said. But you're traveling. It's week 1. And sometimes we always see this in all sports. That first game is tough, especially for the first half for some guys, especially on offense. Usually the defense has an advantage for these games at the beginning because it's sometimes you just got to get clicking and you got to get the rust off and figure out your timing and everything against a different opponent, a different defense than your own. And so that could play into effect for Owyhee in their favor. And so you never know what's going to happen. Plus, I bet Owyee's going to be packing the stands for this game because there's a lot of hype for them this year. Speaking of matter, go ahead.
When you win 2 state championships in 2 other sports, and when football is the top sport in Idaho, there becomes a little pressure for the football program to succeed. Absolutely.
Speaking of that, we asked the coaches over there and when some of the players, there's hardware in Owyee's front cafeteria room already in their trophy case for not just basketball, but other sports. And they got baseball under their belt in year 1 and everything. So there's some hardware, and their football program knows that. Like Ty just said, they know that there's some pressure there, but they're trying to bring some excitement. And what's cool about Owyhee is they do have some of those hoopers. They've got Big Mac Saavedra coming over there. They've got some hoopers that know what it's like. They've got baseball players that know what it's like to win. And so you've got the leadership from that aspect. You've got a winning mentality coming in there to try to amplify the football side of things for the Gridiron. So we're excited about that. I will let you guys touch base a little bit on Middleton Rocky. We've got that matchup coming up. Middleton's making the move up to 5A. And there's some high expectations, but at the same time, it's going to be a struggle. There's been some movement for a lot of sports over at Middleton this offseason. And so this jump up to 5A might be a little tough for him. But AJ, I'd like to get your thoughts on this Middleton Rocky matchup, because not only are you jumping up to 5A, but hey, let's give you the toughest matchup we can probably think of to get you acclimated to the 5A level of football.
Yeah, and quick shout out to my boys over at Madison, Chase Crane, Hiram Sheets. If Owyhee secondary doesn't deal with Hiram Sheets and Chase Crane, it's going to be a blowout. And Ty was talking about Ben Dredge, the returning quarterback, dual threat guy. I think it's ultimately, just to touch on that game, I think it's going to be tough for Owyhee. I think week 1, the crowd, the buzz, I think that could be helpful, Shane, like you said. But good luck dealing with Chase Crane and Hiram Sheets this week. I think both those guys could have big games against that still young Owyhee secondary. But anyway, Middleton, I think, is going to get blown out of the water in a rude welcome to the 5A SIC moment. I think they're going to be down. Kai McClure, who was one of the top 30 passers in the country last year, he's gone for Middleton. And I think they were still more upper to middle of the pack last year. 4A was down last year a little bit. We didn't cover it a ton. But Rocky Mountain is the team to beat this year. They're deeper than everybody. They've kind of, for me, and we've talked about this, obviously, they remind me of Rigby last year, because they're going to have that side of the line with Jackson Fulmer and Penner and some of those guys. They're going to have one side of the line that they can just give Tayshawn Reese and Art Williams the ball, and you could put CJ Jacobson at tight end over there and just say, hey, we're just going to run it down your throat, and you're not going to be able to beat us because we're bigger and badder than you. And that's what Rigby did. We saw them do it against Meridian, and then they went and they won the state championship. But I think that's who they're going to be. And then Tegan Sweeney is going to have guys all over, Carson Adams, Luke Lucchini, I said CJ Jacobson, guys like that who are going to be able to make plays as well. Not to mention they have a Division I fullback and the Purple Hammer, Luke Hanchett. So they're gonna be able to control the game. I think their X factor. Me and BST talked about this. He mentioned it at actually the Rocky auction the other day. Shout out Holly Tanner and Jamie Jacobson, Aisha Reed in the squad. But Scott Kreiner being their new OC is super X factor. Like Rocky's a team to beat. Like I knew they had a new OC, and I know Scott well. I was his neighbor for 2 years. He was my wife's neighbor where she grew up. And I didn't even realize that he had taken over the OC job. And as soon as I found out, I said, oh, man, my Meridian pick isn't looking as good now because he's like that. He's going to put those guys in the right positions. He was a head coach in the XFL back in the day. When Rocky plays Eagle, it's called the Kreiner Bowl. So the dude knows what he's doing. He's taking over that offense with that line. Good luck beating Rocky this year. But I think Meridian has the dudes on defense, when healthy, to give them some problems and force them to make other guys make plays they may not be accustomed to making against some of these other teams. It's going to be interesting. I think it's very top heavy, but I think Rocky obliterates Middleton. And then, they find their rhythm early, and then it's going to be who can beat Rocky. Can anyone beat Rocky? And then they play Meridian.
To touch on what you just said about Coach Kreiner, so the season hasn't even started yet. We haven't played a snap of football yet, right? I'm pretty sure I've already got a top 5 favorite moment of the season, and it was at the Rocky banquet. Coach Kulig comes up to us, and you kind of got chatting with someone else that was there next to us. I can't remember who. And I'm talking with Coach Kulig, and I said to him, just basically what you just said, that how you feeling about having Coach back? To me, he's your X factor. He's like, well, yeah. And he says it with a little shy smile on his face. He's like, yeah, I got my best friend back. That alone said everything I need to know about what Rocky football is going to do this year. Those two are about to go have some fun, and they're going to dominate teams doing it. So to me, that's already going to be one of my favorite memories of the season, just seeing Coach, because if anyone knows Coach Kulig, he's not a super bubbly, smiley, happy-go-lucky guy, right? But that shy little smile said everything I needed to know.
Oh boy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That can make a world of a difference. They've got some confidence over there with the relationship. Like that's scary. When I spoke with Brad Johnson on my own show for the Gametime Guru, one thing he mentioned for like a winning program, he was the quarterback for the Buccaneers in 2003 when they won the Super Bowl. And he specifically said to win, you have to have elite players and elite coaches. And he was talking about the coaching staff that they had. And he was naming off all these guys. And it's kind of like what AJ was, it like sounded like AJ talking, like coach for the USFL, coach for the XFL, and like going off all these like accolades and stuff. And then he's like, and now look where they're all at. And then one thing he also mentioned on my show with him was the relationships that everybody had with each other. The players all got along and the coaches all got along. And that when you have that duo, it's kind of a nasty powerhouse. And that's kind of what Rocky's looking to be.
Yeah. And to go off that, Shane, I've been talking to some of the players. And I said, hey, like, do you notice a difference from last year? And they're like, dude, this group is so much tighter. It's just tighter knit than they felt like last year's group was. Obviously bringing in Kreiner is probably going to help with that. He's a no BS type of guy. But yeah, like Ty said, when Kulik started talking about, having Kreiner back and whatnot, it was like, oh man, these dudes are going to be such a problem. I mean, and then for me, what I'm excited to see is whose defense is going to be better, them or Meridian, because they're putting Art Williams on defense. You've got Micah Clyde back, Troy Wilkie, maybe the best safety corner in the entire league. And obviously Gage Tanner, the landmine. I mean, you've got Weatherly, Stedman, who's a Division I kid going to Air Force. Shout out to Steady. I mean, and if I'm forgetting, I know I'm forgetting guys, but they've got dudes everywhere. They're going to be making plays. Is it going to affect Art Williams running the ball? We'll see. But, last year, if I recall, he was a 12 to 14 carries a game guy. He never was like 25 carries or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm hearing that Art Williams commits to Idaho, and we heard, Ty, that Idaho is going to see him play defense this year, and they're going to be like, we're not playing him at running back. We're playing him on defense. And so we're hearing scary things about Mr. Williams on defense as well. So Rocky's going to be fun to watch. And next week they got Coeur d'Alene at Rocky, which that's going to be a huge matchup next week. But yeah, I think they'll handle business, and then we'll start talking about next week.
Heck yeah. Exciting stuff coming your way. this week. Again, I'd encourage you guys to stay tuned to our channel on Instagram, especially. That's where the coverage is going to be. We will have coverage from our own channels, as well as, other people doing their thing. But make sure you're following EBC Media. Make sure you're following Boise Sports Talk. Make sure you're following the Gametime Guru. And of course,
that doesn't happen very often.
No, that's all right. I guess we have to take over.
So let's talk about CUNA Centennial, because that's a game that you thought about going to, and our boys at CUNA, fresh out the cornfield, they seem like they're ready to go. And then Centennial was ranked ahead of them in the coaches poll, and some of them boys were like, "What is this about?" They felt that they feel disrespected.
Yeah, and I think so. We're about to run through our power rankings, and we're going to see a much different ranking. Without being disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, I mean, I think just the bottom half of the league is really going to struggle, and I think Centennial is in that bottom half of the league, and I don't think CUNA is. So yeah, that's where we're at with that one.
I agree.
Are you back, Guru?
I don't know. Am I back? Because I
thought
I was back before. I thought I was back before, but no one could hear me, so I'm sitting here talking to myself. So, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, this is great. Okay, so I don't know what the last thing was that y'all heard of me, but I would recommend that you're following all of our channels, Boise Sports Talk, EBC Media, the Gametime Guru, as well as the Idaho Underground Sports Network, so you guys can catch the footage of these games coming up. Like we just talked about, Rocky's going to be dominant, but it's cool that we get to see Rocky, Eagle, and Meridian, of course, all in week 0 going forward, to start this thing off, to kick off the season. Obviously, we love Owyhee. We love Middleton as well, but these are some big-time schools that we're excited to see as well. So, I wanted to ask a question. You guys mentioned the CUNA Media Day. You mentioned Matt Irwin as well for Owyhee. We talked about that. You guys were talking about the best hair in the state. So Ty is known to have some good hair. I mean, that's one of his things, man. Ty's got some good hair. I want to ask you, who's got the best hair out of the two guys? We got Luke over at CUNA, and we've got Matt Irwin at Owyhee. And I know AJ mentioned something on one of his stories about who's got the best hair. So I'm going to ask both of you. I'm going to give you the time, and then I want people who are listening to this to give us their thoughts too in the comments. But Ty, who do you think?
Skill wise, I think it's going to be close. I might give the old edge to the boy out in CUNA, Mr. Lukanga, but hair wise, Matt Irwin. I mean, that's some primo hair. Let's be real.
Yeah, man. Max Clark is forever the winner. Shout out to the newest Sun Devil. He just moved in yesterday. So shout out to our boy Max Clark, last year's Offensive Player of the Year. His hair was flawless. But yeah, we talked about a couple guys, but Matt Irwin, because he's a quarterback. You're talking about Luke Snar, because Luke Snar had it going on as well. But Matt Irwin, because he's QB1 over there. Yeah. So I mean, we'll see if anyone can take the preseason title from him, but that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun to mess with those guys, because they're a bunch of pretty boys.
I love it. Look good, feel good, play good, and eventually get paid good, right? That's the whole point. So those guys got the locks of love going. Now, getting into our power rankings, as we're going to be wrapping up the show with our power rankings discussion. We're going to put the slide here so that you guys can see and admire BST's artwork. He is an artist on the digital side of things, so make sure to check out his work here. But we're going to talk about our power rankings, kind of go down and just kind of give you guys a breakdown of what we got. So I'm going to start with, we got number 1 and number 2. We got Rocky at 1, Meridian at 2. AJ, anything there that stands out, and anything else that you wanted to, touch base on? Because we've already talked about Rocky, Meridian already. What's going on? Why are we laughing? What happened?
Because you said number 1 Rocky, number 2 Meridian. Is there anything there that you don't like? I mean, bro, you want to get me going right now? Like,
you handed him a loaded gun.
Yeah, bro. Boy. Like, hey, I believe in the Warriors, and listen, I love all these athletes. It is difficult at times to give our just full, honest opinion, because you don't want people taking things the wrong way. You don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but our job is to give our honest opinion and spin it as best we can. I trust offensively. I trust Meridian more than I trust Rocky. I think Zeke Martinez is built different, just mentally, all the way through. And I think Zeke Martinez is the best quarterback in the league. When it comes down to it, when it all matters, who needs to make plays, and it's always the quarterback, isn't it? I like Zeke Martinez, and I think Meridian's defense is the best defense in the league, 1 through 11. When we're talking about depth, when you start incorporating depth and playmakers on the bench who have to come in and fill, that's going to be Rocky Mountain, because it's always been that way. They've got more kids, they've got more athletes. But Meridian, if they can stay healthy and be healthy at the right time of year, Meridian can beat Rocky Mountain. I fully believe that. I think they have an advantage at quarterback, and I think they're better defensively. I think Rocky's got some new pieces defensively. They'll figure it out. They could be a better defense. I'm going with Meridian because of what they did last year. They finished higher than Rocky last year. So I want Rocky to show me. I know they beat Meridian last year. That's fine and all. But I want to see. I'm always going to make these Rocky Mountain guys prove it, because nobody else does.
I like it. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I do want to ask a follow-up question. I know I wanted to get through those kind of quick, though. But Zeke, I had the opportunity to coach Zeke for a few tournaments in club basketball this last spring, and I never actually had the opportunity to work with the kid as an athlete. Now, that young man, like, some people will say what they want to say about him because they don't know. It's a lot of unknowns, and I didn't really know much about him besides what I saw with him on the field a little bit last year in the few games that he was able to play when Malachi was out. I will tell you this, as an athlete, Zeke is an absolute leader. He's a born leader. Like, he gets that from his family as well. Like, he's kind of grown up in that type of leadership that comes from his parenting, that comes from his like association with church groups. I believe that there's a lot of reasons that he has this leadership role in his life. But I will tell you guys right now, like, I had the opportunity to work with Zeke, even just for basketball. And I was like, wow, okay. Dude came in and he knew how to lead, even though he was younger than everybody on the team. That's just what he brings. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not saying, I just want to talk about that because there's a lot of questions of, can Zeke perform when they got film on him and he is the number one, he's QB1. And now there's film on him every game. Like, the teams will schematically put things together on defense to try to throw them off. Whereas last year, you come in as the backup. Sometimes it's hard to schematically put something in place because you don't know what he's going to be bringing. It's not the same as your QB1. That's always the question. I truly believe he can get the job done. Like AJ was just saying, he is a born leader. That's what I got to say. 3, 4, and 5. We've got, as you guys look here real quick on the power rankings, 3, 4, and 5, Mountain View, Eagle, Bora. Ty, break it down. Mountain View coming in with a new head coach, but he's not an unfamiliar name. So a lot of people are writing them off, but nah, dude, we got him right up there in the top 3 for a reason. But talk to us about 3, 4, and 5.
Right. Mountain View, obviously SIC district champs last year. They lose a ton of guys from last year. They offensive pieces, defensive pieces, offensive line, defensive line. They have to reload pretty much all over the map. And then we got to see how Dawson Wall comes back from injury, right? So a lot of question marks here with Mountain View. You mentioned new coach, but OC from last year, he's familiar with the team. They're familiar with him. I don't think that we see a huge drop off there. I think that's why we have them as high as we do. Mountain View is a solidified, legit program here in Idaho. They're always going to be competitive. And this year, with it being so top heavy, they do stand out. I think that they will end up being the clear cut number 3 team, just like we have them. I would be shocked to see them anywhere else but number 3 this year. But, football is football. Any given Sunday, we'll see what happens. Looking at number 4, Eagle Mustangs, another, just solidified program out here in the Valley, another team that's, competitive year in, year out. Doesn't matter what guys they've got. Coach John Hartz has, obviously done a great job out there. They've got a good system going. For me, their offense is going to be potentially, if they use their pieces correctly, which I think they will. They brought in Kyle Cron, offensive coordinator from Boise last year, who helps run Rare Academy. They've been doing big things with their sevens program. Coach Cron comes in, and I think that's going to be another, underrated acquisition of the year, a lot like Kreiner at Rocky. Just a bright, young, offensive-minded guy. I could see Coach Cron going to the next level sooner than later. I think he's one of those guys. So we'll see what he does. He's been raving about their quarterbacks. They've got 4 different guys that he's talked about. I think they got 2 that we'll see primarily throughout the year, but they got a couple freshman quarterbacks that he's hyped about as well. So Eagle should be right there, which that kind of rounds out our top four, which, surprise, surprise, Rocky, Meridian, Mountain View, Eagle, right? Really, after this is where everything gets completely interesting. And we'll probably take a bunch of flack, whatever you want to call it, for putting people where we do. But honestly, each and every one of these teams after those top four has to go prove it. Bora is going to be the only one outside of anyone in there that was in, I guess Capital also, but Capital lost everybody. So Bora and Capital, the only ones that went to the state playoff last year that are, not in that top five, right? Or Bora is 5, excuse me. But every team's got to prove it, I think there's a lot of teams that have a bunch of talent, Owyhee in particular, that can come in and surprise people, CUNA, Bora, but it's a prove it year for everybody. And these top dogs are going to be hard to take down. So they got to get an upset if they want to get to the next level this year.
For sure. And as you guys see here, I'll put the slide back up. And if you guys want to go look at this, check it out, Ty's graphic. We've got CUNA 6, Owyhee 7, Nampa 8, Middleton 9, Timberline 10, Capital 11, Centennial 12, and Boise 13. And most of those, I think at the bottom, well, there might be some arguments about Centennial. I know I got some Centennial guys that gave me some, they gave us a little flack, like Ty was saying, like for putting them lower. But again, I'm going to say
deja vu, bro. Deja vu on that.
Yeah,
I remember what happened last year.
Yep.
Yeah. It is what it is, but I would like to.
They beat Owyhee week 1, and then I don't think got another win for 6 weeks or so. So got to go prove it. And week 1, like you mentioned, week 1 isn't going to tell you everything either. Offenses are clicking. Teams are trying to get it figured out. Defensively is where you got to rely on your team week 1 for sure.
And they're not beating CUNA. CUNA's got too many dudes on offense, so that would blow me away if Centennial wins that game.
And now you look at these. So if you look at the Boise schools, that's who we've got pretty much rounding out the bottom 4, right? I kind of throw Centennial in with the Boise schools because they're a little bit further east, right? But Timberline, Capital, Centennial, Boise, all 4 of those teams lost a bunch of dudes. Capital and Timberline in particular, guys that were playing both sides of the ball. I mean, Timberline's entire offense is going to have to be replaced. So that's one team I'm super curious about. They're bringing in a young quarterback, Austin. I'm blanking on his last name now. No, he's the Eagle kid. Yeah, here I'll find out for you. But they're bringing in an entire new offense. They have to replace, Garrett Lavin, Anthony Bridges, Taylor Markham, 3 or 4 of their offensive line, as well as Wade Zenner, their quarterback. So it's going to be a big rebuilding year for them. You look at Capital, they're losing Max Clark, they're losing Cody Walk, they're losing Avery Downey, they're losing Ethan Castillo. I mean, Nate Cherry. It's a complete rebuild year for these teams. Boise as well. They lose their top guys. It's going to be maybe a rough year for the Boise schools. I think we look at teams like Nampa and Middleton, and they're really going to benefit from that. Because I think they're going to come in and have a tall task. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with the Middleton and Nampa rosters. We'll get to know them. We'll be sure to show you guys some love. But coming into the season, it's going to be rough for these bottom teams.
Yeah, I want to shout out Nampa real quick. They've been successful, very successful the last few years on the football field. I think they've had some serious upsets at state the last few years as a lower seed. So they've got my attention. I'm really curious to see where they're at. I think they're going to be one of those teams that's going to be middle of the pack. All these teams could be middle of the pack, but I think Nampa for me is the curious case. But yeah, so we'll see what they can do.
It'll be exciting to see what happens. Again, we're just stoked to be bringing you guys the coverage, and obviously things change after week 1. We will shift things around. If you guys prove us wrong, great. I don't think there's anything.
I did want to throw out, I remember his name, Austin Rovig from Timberline. Young quarterback. He's going to come in and do some big things, but wanted to show him some love for sure.
Heck yeah. We got his last name now. Ty did his research real quick to get it. We'll give you guys the love when we got it. So, guys, we're excited for it. I mean, it's been a fun summer. We've all had some good times, even on the network itself. Bam Jam. Shout out to Bam Jam for allowing us to sponsor the high school open and cover some basketball right at the end of summer. That was actually a blast. We had a really good turnout. Shout out to all the players who were part of that. But now we're happy to be back. Gym session, or I should say gym is now in session. We're here. We're ready to rock and roll for the season. Fall sports are getting underway. Again, I'm going to remind everybody, follow us on our personal platforms. I'm going to tell you to go to Boise Sports Talk. Follow him. You're going to want to follow us, not just for the Idaho Underground Sports content, but for the content that we each provide on our personal platforms. So go to Boise Sports Talk on Instagram. Follow him. AJ's over at EBC_media. Go follow him. He's getting you all the volleyball coverage too. And AJ, you've even got your own podcast out here that you're showing some love with. How can they find you on your own podcast, man?
Yeah, man. I'm put the links in my bio at EBC_media at Instagram. I'm doing some volleyball podcasting, learning how to do the podcasting stuff. Man, down the road, I'm going to travel. I'm going to do a travel podcast. So I'm getting just accustomed to it. And I appreciate your help, Mr. Guru, on everything podcast so far. But yeah, check it out if you're interested in volleyball or whatever. We've got some serious athletes. We've got 2 girls that are top 10 ranked incoming juniors in the country in different rankings who are must see TV. So we've got a lot of Division I volleyball players, and those girls need some love. And like we were talking about earlier, doing football for the males, trying to find ways to show the females some love as well. Obviously, we'll do girls basketball more this year. And then, like Ty said, we're going to implement soccer as well. And then I'm doing some volleyball. So tune in.
We got some coverage for you. That's, again, follow us on our personal platforms. You'd be amazed at what you can figure out. Ty's got every sport across the entire valley. You got Boise State coverage from women's sports and everything in between. Like, you got C of I. You got pretty much everything. So go follow him there. Cherry Films. Shout out to Cherry. Okay, Lane over at Cherry Films, doing his thing. He graduated high school this last year, and he's continuing on with his skill set. He's helping other companies with their social media and so forth. So you're still going to see Cherry pushing out content, but he's becoming a busy young man as he's kind of hitting the real world outside of high school, and we give him a shout out. He's going to still be part of it. We're going to be sharing his content everywhere. Go follow him for some sports highlights. And then you can follow me as well at Gametime Guru on Instagram if you'd like. Come listen to my podcast, listen to some of the interviews that I do with the sports figures on a weekly basis. This week, I've got the Buster Bronco mascot coming on. It's a female, just so you guys know that, and she's retired as of last year. She was Buster Bronco for a few years. She gave us a lot of insight as what it's like to be a school mascot. So there's a little shout out there. Anyway, we are the Idaho Underground Sports Network, signing off for this one. We're looking forward to it. We'll talk to you guys next week.